All right, welcome back everyone. Today we're diving into part 2 of our explainer on chapter 2 from that fantastic 10-part tutorial by Virtualization Options LLC. Now this is specifically engineered for network engineers and cybersecurity folks who know IPv4 like the back of their hand, but really need to get up to speed on IPv6 and fast. Today we're going to get into the nitty-gritty, the vulnerabilities, the misconfigurations, and the mitigations that come with this massive paradigm shift. Because honestly, if you think your IPv4 mental models map perfectly over to IPv6, well, get ready, because we are about to completely rewire how you look at network security.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. We've got 5 main stops today: the new attack surface, Slack and rogue gateways, the DHCP-v6 blind spot, how NDP amplifies ARP threats, and finally, headers, fragments, and tunnels. We're going to systematically unpack exactly how IPv6 breaks your existing mental models, and more importantly, how you can actually fix it.
Starting off with Section 1, the new attack surface. The absolute most critical thing to keep in mind here is that early-phase IPv6 deployments have the lowest maturity when it comes to admin experience and tooling, which directly translates to the highest level of risk for your org.
Now, as we look at the source for this explainer, Virtualization Options LLC, which is this phenomenal Colorado-based research and advisory group, they highlight something that might actually surprise a few of you. You might be sitting there thinking, well, we haven't intentionally deployed IPv6 yet, so we're totally safe. But here's the reality check. IPv6 is already running by default right now on your network. Windows, macOS, Linux, iOS, Android, they all have it enabled straight out of the box.
And that brings us to a quote from the source material that should really shatter any false sense of security you might be holding on to. It says, "Your IPv4 defenses do not automatically protect IPv6 traffic." I know, it sounds super obvious when you say it out loud, but it's a vital operational truth. Running 2 protocols means you are literally managing 2 entirely separate attack surfaces. If your firewalls, your IDS, and your logs are only tuned for IPv4, you are essentially flying blind on the IPv6 side of the house.
Let's compare and contrast a really fundamental architectural difference. In IPv4, we've heavily relied on network address translation, NAT, to kinda inadvertently hide our internal network topology. It acted as this default security blanket for us. Well, in IPv6, there is no NAT. By design, every single device gets a globally routable address. That means direct internet exposure is the new default state. You are no longer hidden behind a single public IP.
Which brings us right into Section 2, Slack and rogue gateways. Since we don't have NAT and we aren't heavily relying on DHCP in the exact same way we used to, how do these devices automatically configure their addresses on the network?
Well, the answer is a mechanism called Slack, or Stateless Address Auto-Configuration. Basically, Slack allows a host to generate its own IP address based on router advertisement messages. But here's the massive vulnerability. Slack trusts these advertisements by default. There is literally zero built-in authentication. So an attacker can just send a forged router advertisement. Step 1, the target host accepts it and trusts the fake gateway. Step 2, the host directs all of its traffic right to the attacker. And Step 3, the attacker is sitting comfortably in a man-in-the-middle position where they can inspect, modify, or just black hole entire subnets of traffic. It's wild.
So how do we stop an attacker from hijacking our routing with a simple forged message? You deploy rGuard. This is your primary mitigation tool for Slack spoofing. By deploying rGuard on your switches, you configure the hardware to explicitly block router advertisement messages that originate from non-router ports. It essentially forces the network to only accept routing instructions from the actual authorized physical ports where your legitimate routers are plugged in.
Okay, moving to Section 3, the DHCP-v6 blind spot. That covers Slack, but what if your network uses the IPv6 equivalent of DHCP?
To really grasp this, let's map the new threat to an IPv4 analogy we all know. In IPv4, we're all familiar with the rogue DHCP server attack, right? And we know exactly how to fix it. We just turn on DHCP snooping on our switches. Well, in IPv6, the exact same conceptual threat exists: poison DHCP-v6 responses. And the mitigation is an equivalent feature called DHCP-v6 Shield.
So the crucial point is this. Just like with Slack, DHCP-v6 clients have absolutely no built-in way to authenticate the responses they get. They just broadcast a request and accept the very first valid reply that hits their interface. If an attacker responds faster than your legitimate server, the attacker wins. Now, DHCP v6 Shield restricts those server responses to trusted ports only, which fixes the issue. But the terrifying reality is that it's way less commonly deployed than its IPv4 counterpart. Without DHCP v6 Shield active, every single client on your segment is at risk of silently receiving a poisoned network configuration.
Next up is Section 4, NDP, or Amplified ARP Threats. Let's look at the IPv6 replacement for the Address Resolution Protocol.
And this brilliantly illustrates the core problem. The Neighbor Discovery Protocol, or NDP, handles router discovery, prefix advertisement, and neighbor reachability. Both ARP and NDP share a fatal flaw. Neither has built-in authentication. They both just assume all nodes on a local link are completely trusted. But notice the impact radius here. ARP spoofing is generally limited to local IP to MAC address manipulation. NDP has vastly more message types, solicitations, advertisements, redirects, meaning a single forged NDP message can disrupt gateway selection, break duplicate address detection, and completely manipulate link-wide routing. The blast radius in IPv6 is just significantly wider.
Finally, let's hit Section 5, Headers, Fragments, and Tunnels. This is exactly where legacy features and architectural differences can bypass your perimeter security entirely.
First up is a legacy threat known as RH0, the Type 0 routing header. This was actually deprecated by the IETF way back in 2007 because it's incredibly dangerous. It allows an attacker to dictate the exact path a packet takes through the network, enabling source routing attacks, traffic amplification, and just blatant firewall bypass. The problem? Your legacy devices might still process it. The mitigation is pretty straightforward, though. You must audit your configurations and explicitly drop all packets containing RH0 at your perimeter devices. Seriously, do not assume your firewall ignores it by default.
Next is the exploitation of fragmentation, specifically the tiny fragment attack. Because of architectural differences in how IPv6 handles extension headers, an attacker can craft a maliciously tiny first packet fragment. It is so small that it pushes the critical layer 4 TCP or UDP headers into the subsequent fragments. A stateless firewall or an ACL looks at that harmless first fragment, doesn't see anything to block, and just allows the entire flow through simply because it can't reassemble the packet before inspection. The solution here? Drop fragmented traffic at the perimeter wherever it's operationally possible, because fragmented traffic to edge services is rarely legitimate anyway.
And finally, we have to talk about tunnels. Transition technologies were initially designed to help IPv6 packets travel across IPv4 networks, but today they are massive security liabilities. 6 to 4 tunnels completely bypass your IPv6 perimeter controls because the traffic just looks like IPv4 Protocol 41. ISAP is designed for internal use, but it's frequently and dangerously left enabled on external-facing hosts. And Teredo is honestly perhaps the worst offender, tunneling IPv6 directly inside standard UDP traffic to punch right through your IPv4 NAT. This means an attacker can reach an internal host via IPv6 even if you have completely blocked all inbound IPv4 traffic at your perimeter. Your mitigation strategy has to be aggressive. Disable 6 to 4 ISAP and Teredo on all endpoints unless they are explicitly required, and absolutely block these tunneling protocols at your perimeter.
Wow, okay, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground from Chapter 2 of this Virtualization Options LLC tutorial. We've moved from the total lack of a NAT safety net through the massive vulnerabilities in Slack, DHCP-v6, and NDP, all the way to the perimeter bypassing threats of legacy headers and tunnels. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought as we wrap up this explainer. If IPv6 is running on your network right now by default, and you haven't deployed these mitigations, what is intercepting your traffic today? Think about that. Audit those networks, and I will see you back here for the next part of this tutorial where we are going to dive even deeper. Keep learning and stay secure.